Hi again, Gregg, the News Tribune at Lumen Field in Seattle. Well, it's over. NFL seasons and the playoffs end so suddenly all the time anyway. I mean, they end with a thud. A 12-win season feels like this team should have the first pick in the draft right now. I get it. That's how final losses are in the postseason. 6 years in a row now, the Seahawks have not gotten past at least the division round of the playoffs since they went to Super Bowl 49. And what happened today and why they lost today, I believe, is emblematic of what happened to this team over the latter half of the season on offense. They were outcoached. Plain and simple, they've been outcoached. I've mentioned a few times, I thought the Buffalo game, and specifically when the Bills seemed to know exactly where every Seahawks receiver was running patterns. I thought the Rams game, the first game in Inglewood in November when Pete Carroll refused to go for it on 4th and inches, it changed the game. There were multiple times that they were outcoached, but overall, they were outcoached because they did not counter defenses counter to their pass game, their deep pass game. You remember the first 2 months of this season, Wilson's throwing it all over the yard in every stadium. He's the leading candidate to be the NFL MVP. DK Metcalf was leading the league in yards receiving. Well, what changed after that? Defenses said, we're not giving up the long ball. We're going to put two safeties deep. No more single high safety coverage. We're going to put two safeties deep. We're going to bracket Metcalf with a safety behind him and a cornerback in front of him. And we're going to tell Seattle, try to beat us with the short dink and dunk game instead of the overtop home run balls. Well, Seattle kept trying the home run balls. It was basically square peg into round hole for the last 8 games of the season. And another sub 300-yard total offensive day today, not just passing, but total offensive day today for the Seahawks offense. 171 yards passing, 11 of 27. Wilson was 9 of his first 20. It was square peg and round hole. Not to mention the fact he got sacked 5 times by the Rams. That's 16 sacks and 30 hits against Wilson by the Rams in 3 games this season. It's more than time. They should have been running Chris Carson. The counter I thought they should have done was run Carson at him, at the Rams and their pass rush a lot, 25 plus times. The only time in the game, third quarter, 20-13 game, they give the ball to Carson 3 times. He runs for 18 yards and a first down, and on his way to a second first down, they run a swing pass designed especially for Carson. 4 times in 4 plays, the ball went to Carson, and it looked like we were entering the Chris Carson featured portion of the game. Then inexplicably, Carson raised his hand. At least what I saw in the press box, raising his hand and begged himself out of the game. Contract year, last game of his contract, finally being featured and used on consecutive downs for getting the ball to midfield, and he asked himself out of the game. Carlos Hyde comes in. You saw Hyde today running upright and tippy-toeing at times and not running well at all into the line that he didn't have much blocking for. Anyway, stopped, short yardage. Hyde stopped for one of multiple times. Seahawks have to punt. The opportunity to tie the game when it was 20-13, lost, game lost. I would have kept running Carson. 101 of their first 170 yards were on the ground, and they weren't doing it with pass protection nor trying to throw, as I said, down the field square peg into round hole. After the game, Pete Carroll said, I wish we had adjusted better during the season to how defenses took away our deep balls. Well, whose fault is that? Well, of course, Brian Schottenheimer's the play caller. And there are times that he had dialed up deep passes regardless of 2 high safeties deep. It's on Russell Wilson for continuing to hold the ball and wait for those deep plays that weren't there. But ultimately, it's on Pete Carroll. I mean, let's face it, he's the highest football authority in this franchise, even above the general manager, John Snyder, whom they hired after they hired Carroll in 2010. And if Carroll wants an adjustment against the deep pass, then tell Schottenheimer to make it. He's his boss. And every week we talk about either adjusting to what defenses are taking away, or the need to be more balanced, or we should run the ball more, we should get Chris Carson more involved. He's the head coach. And I thought he could have been far more influential. And before you think, well, he was trying to stay out of Schottenheimer's offense and let him run it, well, consider after the game today, the reason why, Carroll explained, for that 4th and 1 fiasco early in the 4th quarter when it was 23-13. Seahawks are going for it near the midfield. You saw what happened. Damian Lewis, an injury timeout. They had at least 4 minutes to decide how to run that 4th and 1 play. Yet they get out of the huddle with 5 seconds left on the play clock. Russell Wilson has to hurry them to the line and try to get the snap off. Half the line moves. but Ethan Posick doesn't snap the ball. False start, 4th and 1 becomes 4th and 6. They punt, and the Seahawks never got closer to getting back in the game than that. Carroll said after the game that he got involved in the play call on that, and it caused a delay and rush and the chaos that ensued. So it's not as if Carroll is adverse to getting in Schottenheimer's business about the offense. I thought they were outcoached. I thought they did not counter the counters of defenses through the latter half of the season. 27 pass attempts today by Wilson, only 3 completions of 10 to 19 yards. So not only were they not succeeding on the deep balls, except for the one, of course, on the broken play, they got a 51-yard touchdown for Metcalf, but they weren't throwing short either, or at least not successfully for completions. Wilson was 1 for 5 throwing to tight ends today. He should have had 2 interceptions on the same drive, overthrowing tight ends. It was a mess, as I don't have to tell you. So now what? Well, Schottenheimer is linked to head coaching openings at the Jets and the Houston Texans. It's no sure thing he'll be back anyway, for either that reason or others. Carroll said he's going to take a long look into the offensive schemes and the deep ball passing in particular. Russell Wilson said after the game he thinks it would help if they go no huddle and quick tempo more. He has said that almost every year here the last 3 or 4 years, and that's something he said he hopes to do more in the future. He thinks they're better off doing it. But heck, it's tough to go no huddle when you're 3 of 14 on 3rd downs and your quarterback's on his back 5 times with sacks, and his 1st and 2nd and 3rd and 25 as it was multiple times today. As usual, a season-ending loss. Finger pointing is like excuses and rain in Seattle. It's everywhere, every place you can find, and there's lots of it. I detail it on the newstribune.com and on Twitter at GBellSeattle. 7 free agents, veteran starter free agents, are upcoming this offseason for Seattle. I'll talk more about in the coming days. Chris Carson is the biggest one. Shaquille Griffin, their 2019 Pro Bowl cornerback, is another. KJ Wright, who deserves another year, is yet another. And as always, big decisions to be made in the offseason. Tyler Lockett, interestingly, after game, I wrote a story about this as well, saying, hey man, now we got to go into the real world, the COVID-19 world. No more daily COVID testing. Great gesture, by the way, here today. The COVID-19 nurses and testers that have been doing it every morning in a trailer outside Seahawks headquarters, honored before the game, raising the 12 flag. Those are some of the most relentlessly positive, upbeat people I've ever worked with, and they're doing it to the crack of dawn in the dark in the mornings, traveling on the road with them. The Seahawks, the only team to be virus-free this entire NFL season, and Lockett said, man, I'm a little worried about what's going to happen now that we don't have that safeguard of the daily testing and the results and our visitors being tested and everything else. Lots more on the newstribune.com. Thank you all season for being with me. I don't know how I survived it, but I took another COVID test 2 days ago and I passed after going to Phoenix and back, so I feel fortunate, knock on wood, about that. Be well, everybody. Be safe. Let's hope 2021 is much better for everyone. And thanks for watching and following all season long.